How you doing everyone? I'm Jake and this is hardcore, breakbeat hardcore, electronic, happy hardcore, dark side, drum and bass, jungle techno, vinyl reminiscence. This is why I just call it rave. It's not practical.
Start again.
How you doing everyone? I'm Jake and this is Rave Vinyl Reminiscence. The channel where via my old school rave record collection, I share some love for these incredible tunes. Paying respects to some of the top producers, great DJs, and the big labels of the era. Simply remembering a wonderful time in history. Now you've tuned in to the second part of a two-part episode, looking at a bunch of the most sought after and highly prized early 90s rave vinyl. Now if you haven't watched part one where we count down from 20 to 11, stop right now and click the link in the description to that episode. That way you can follow the whole journey. In this part we do the final run, from 10 down to the number 1 spot. It's time for part 2 of the top 20 most wanted rave records. So here we are again. Hope everyone's kicking ass in a good way. I'm going to blast through this intro at a right old pace because we've got a lot to get through in this video. I want to give a quick reminder of the method used to select this top 20. It's not a list of my top 20 records personally of the era. I've shared how hard that is for me to narrow down, although I will give it a shot at some point. This is a list based on the highest sale prices achieved to date according to Discogs. I did this by using the sort by feature in my inventory and selecting highest value, high to low. This uses historic data from Discogs sales over the years. Like I said in part 1, the copies that fetched top dollar will very likely have been mint collector's copies. So this doesn't necessarily reflect the top 20 player grade copies, the ones that are actually on sale right now. I'm not going to talk about money at all, it's not about that. The sale price has only been used as a measure of how much someone actually wanted to own this record. I don't care about value personally. By the time my records get sold, I'll be dancing at the big rave in the sky. Now importantly, this top 20 is only pulled from the records that I own. So obviously not everything that's decent went into the pot. And I did also put a couple of rules in place if you remember. It had to be old school. By old school I personally mean no later than early 90s. And it had to be just a single vinyl release, so no multi-vinyl albums. On top of that, if a release that makes it into the chart has been repressed and is easily available and relatively cheap, then we'll pay respect to it, but it won't hold its place. And finally, as I promised in part 1, you're in for a bit of a treat in this video, because I've used some absolutely first class, old school analogue visuals throughout. These were created by Delicious, a member of our community. I love these visuals because they remind me so much of those trippy videos I talked about in the Stearns episode, the ones that used to play non-stop in a little cinema. These effects are the nuts, and I'll put some more information about how they're created in the description. Right, let's crack on. We finished part 1 with Release Dance in Eden, and first up now, in at number 10, we have this immense joy of a tune. Doc Scott, NHS EP Volume 2. And that tune, as I'm sure many of you will know, is the disco mix, which is the side that gets played the most. And fair play because it is quality. But I've got to say, the slightly lesser played heavyweight remix, which is on the other side, is the one for me. It's a brute of a tune. The heavyweight remix has much of the disco mix's tasty characteristics. It's kind of like the rebellious, don't give a shite twin brother. What a frowner that one is. Okay, so we're on to number 9, and I'm so glad this made it into the top 10. I'm pretty certain I'd have put it somewhere near here if I was choosing. This was repressed back in 2008 by Sublogic, but that repress is almost impossible to get your hands on. So it stays right here at number 9. It's one of them tunes that just has a bit of it all for me. It's an absolute weapon. The Untouchables, and that was Enjoy This. Mate, this is just banging. You have the slamming punchy drums, the chops into the piano, and then you have this. I bloody love that tune, man. Right, moving on to number 8. And here we come to a release that's going to have to be knocked off the podium. It's a blinding bit of wax, but it was repressed by Vinyl Fanatics back in 24. And that is now easily available and pretty cheap. Having said that, when I bought my copy back in 93, it was even cheaper. But then again, 10 quid's worth of fuel used to last me all week too. DJ Fokus, and that was Chill Out. What a spanker. Both sides of this are immense, proper dark side thugs. Turn it over and you have Vexed. So what's taking its place in the number 8 spot? Well, this is as worthy as anything ever etched on plastic. Once again, if you haven't seen the Rugged Vinyl episode yet, check it out, because if you have, you'll know how I feel about this already. 4 breathtaking tracks on one release, and it's the second time Intensive appeared in this chart. It's the Genesis Project EP. That was Space-Time Continuum. This is the work of Bo Thomas, Dan Duncan and Simon Visby, also known as Babylon Time Warp. Chaps, you need a round of applause. Now the second track on this side is simply stunning. If this was the only tune on the record, it would rank highly. The Dreamer, this is the works.
We are the music makers. We are the dreamers of dreams. We are the music makers. We are the dreamers of dreams. We are the music makers.
Yep, that's the nuts. Now, we also have the Genesis project on the flip side. And we have the dope remix of The Quickening. It don't get a lot better than that in my opinion. One of the finest records ever made. So what could be next? We're up to number 7. And this spot sees an appearance by the mighty Lucky Spin Recordings. It's a great release with some solid tracks on. This is Orca and the Dances with Dolphins EP Volume 2. That tune was My Brother, and the next tune on the same side is The Power.
We got power.
However, this is the tune that in my opinion has pulled the punters in for this release. Guaranteed to widen pupils, the piano breaking out here does the business every time. It's alive and kicking. That's another 2 mil of varnish off the dance floor. What an uplifting track. Loved it from the first time it hit my ears. Good stuff. Right, on to number 6 now. And very much a shift in energy with this release. It's the second time Gwange has turned up on this list, And this time with DJ Spinback and Q Project. I was buying a lot of vinyl back in '94, although as I shared in the Pick a Mix episode, I did sell a lot of the happier stuff many years later. But this and many other amazing releases are still showing up daily in the record shops. As if that ain't enough, turn this baby over and you have Q Project's Deep Concentration. Pop this in your pipe. Such an atmospheric track. Alright, where are we at? Halfway. It's number 5. And another amazing release that's going to be stepping down. From the first moment I heard this, I wanted it. But I had no idea for years what it was. Groove Rider dropped this at Universe after a call for silence, and it absolutely opened the can. One of the greatest piano kicks up the arse ever, methinks. It's DSKF, and that track was Feel the Power. I actually paid a fair few bob for my original 92 copy, but it was repressed back in 22 by Warehouse Wax, and that is easily available at a fraction of the original's cost now. So we have a replacement for 5th place. Now, part of the reason for this replacement spot in the 5th is the fact that I have it on white label. It's a total classic though, full of positive energy. Seen some armpits that tune, eh? It's bass Selective, and that track is Blowout Part 2. 3 tracks on this release, but that's the big one. Dropped pretty much any night you went out back in '92. Okay, so let's keep this rolling. We're on to number 4 now. And we have another white label. Well, my copy has a white label on one side and a pinkish label on the other. It's very sought after, this release. The Unaware EP, and that track was Dark Troubles. It's a lovely deep journeying track. But the other side is the banger that gets played most on this release. Bags of positive power. It slams Looking Into the Light. So dynamic, this tune, switching from that joyful piano to banging drum rolls to this. Looking to the Light was repressed in 2001 on a single-sided release. Now, that really doesn't show up too often at all. Check out this massive wide sound here, I love it. Right, we're down to number 3 now. And another one that has to step down, but is worthy of high respects. I wanted this record so bad that I paid a fair bit for it some time ago. It is one hell of a release with 3 killer tunes on it. One of which, and the main reason I bought it, is this Tango remix. The Anthill Mob and Tango's mix of the Hooded Claw there. That tune absolutely rips you a new one. Banging from start to finish, as you'd expect from the late great man. And this incredible release was repressed back in 23 by 92 Retro. As always with this label, it was an absolutely superb job. The quality of the whole package, artwork, recreation, the lot. And you can easily grab a copy of that right now at a very reasonable price. Highly recommended. On the flip side, you also get Anthology. And just a quick blast of the third track, which is the dark and moody Black Russian. Okay, so what stole third place from that gem? Well, funnily enough, it's another killer release from the Anthill Mob. Only available on white label and very deserving of a high space in the chart. This is simply beautiful. Penelopey's theme, without a doubt one of my most cherished records. So glad it made it this high on the list. Everything about this track just lights me up on a cellular level. And once again, an incredibly dynamic and classy tune.
And I'm just getting warm. And I'm just getting warm. And I'm just getting warm.
Absolutely owning third place, Penelopey's theme hits this massive sound about halfway through. It just grabs the whole club by the collar. It's wicked. So good. You also get the Revenge of the Hooded Claw on the flip side of that, which ain't to be scoffed at neither.
This is a mind explosion. This is a mind explosion. This is a mind explosion.
Right, we're getting close now. It's number 2. And we have another big release that has to step aside. I've got to be honest and say I didn't own many of the releases on this label, to be honest, but they did become very sought after and pretty pricey. This, out of all the tracks released on the label, was my favourite though. Tom and Jerry, We Can Be Free there. Now a lot of the Tom and Jerry catalogue was reissued a couple of years back, and they're pretty easily available and significantly cheaper than the originals. The only thing I will say though, and I don't know if this is a clever marketing tactic, but the tracks on the reissues seem to be shuffled around compared to the originals. So for example, the 4 tracks on this release are spread over 4 different reissues, mixed in with other jumble tracks from other releases. Still, you can pick your favourites out easily enough. Which means, moving into its place, again, something very worthy. I did an episode on F Project a while back, check that out if you haven't seen it. And most of the releases on that label are relatively easy to find. But this one is a bit more tricky. It was only released on white label, and it's another piece of work by the legend Tango. also known as White 4, it's the Tango project. And that track was Project 1, which, and I might get yelled at for saying this, I don't really play much. Not because I don't like it, but because on the other side, it's this.
Drop it.
All the class and energy you'd expect from a tango tune. This growly section here is beautiful as it takes off. Got these punchy little shrills and harmonised stabs that come in over the top. Imbued with all the love and freedom of the 92 rave scene, this one. Quality track. So we've made it at last, just one more to go. The #1 spot. A quick reminder that this is the top 20 selected by Discogs and done according to the highest sale price to date from the records I own. I'm going to drop some clues for the cork sniffers out there, and then I'll play out with the main tune on the release, and it's a big one. So this record was pressed on a sub-label of Rob Playford's. That's the man who brought us Moving Shadow. It was actually repressed, but almost immediately after the first pressing back in '93. And that plain black label version is not a lot easier to get hold of than this. That might be enough for the proper geeks to guess already. But here's another clue. It has this tune on the B-side.
Screw fifth. Screw fifth.
Aha, a few more of you would have guessed it now. Let me know in the comments if you did. But it's the A-side that made this release so desirable, and it's a cherished member of my collection. Now before we listen to that, I want to thank Delicious once again for those awesome visuals. If you're interested in the process used to make them, then check the video description. I've put some more details in there, straight from the main man himself. Also want to share a quick thought with you. You know, there's often some lively debate around the specific assignment of genre and sub-genre labels to the music of this era. I know I drive some people nuts by just referring to it all as rave music sometimes. I've said before, back in the day, I remember just calling it all hardcore for most of my time out raving. But in the end, it's all about how we feel about the tunes and what they mean to us personally. The intricate differences between the various categories, which were pretty blurred back then anyway, really pale into insignificance compared with the overarching unity I remember the music representing. People from all walks of life, many different categories of human being if you like, all came together for a single purpose. Partying to music we loved and all feeling a part of something special. That's what all these tunes have in common. Just like the music, wouldn't it be great if we, as a collective consciousness on this planet, just focused at least as much on what we have in common as we do on what separates us? If instead of amplifying and squabbling over different labels, we just step back a bit and recognise we're all at the same bloody party. That's what I adore about the community we have here on this channel. Thousands of you from all over the place, all over the world even, brought together by the music. And it's been the greatest of joys and a privilege so far to be a part of that. So thank you again. And on that note, I'll leave you now with the main track, the one that put this release into the #1 spot. It's Foul Play Productions, and it's the illegal mix of Finest Illusion. Named that because of the unlicensed vocals used. The legal mix was released shortly after on Moving Shadow, on the Foul Play Volume 3 Remixes, Part 2. That version had better quality audio, to be fair, and a slightly different arrangement. Both of them are quality tunes in their own right, but this one is very collectible, and holds a lot of amazing memories for me. Would I personally have made it #1 if I was choosing the top 20? Not sure, to be honest. There's so many to choose from, but it's absolutely up there with the greatest. And people who've hit the buy button clearly agree in the past. So I hope you've enjoyed taking this journey with me. If you're new to the channel, check out the many past episodes and the great memories we've shared together already. I look forward to seeing you all in the next episode. Love and respect.